In this episode, we leave La Paz and sail out of the Sea of Cortez on a 2-day journey to Mazatlan on the Pacific coast of Mexico.
Today is February the 11th, and we are about to make our first it's not the first overnight passage, but it's really a bigger passage. We're going to go about 250 miles across from La Paz to Mazatlan. We're really excited. We've been waiting for this and waiting for the weather window for the last, 10 or 11 days. We arrived here in La Paz on was almost 2 weeks ago, 12 days ago, so the January 29th, and we've kind of been just setting out a couple of northers and taking care of a few things. La Paz is lovely to visit. We've really enjoyed it. There's a lot of great restaurants. I think the best thing for me was the restaurants were amazing, and then but now it's time to go. We want to get over to warmer weather. We're still, as you can see, I'm wearing long sleeves and frequently jackets. So anyway, before we go on a passage, I thought it would be great just to kind of like, what do we do? So we did a lot of planning in advance as far as what time to leave, when to leave. We're going to leave here at 11 today. It's about a 40-hour to a 48-hour passage for us, depending on the wind and how well we do motoring. And so we're going to leave at around 11. But before we leave, there's just a number of things we do. One of the things that I noticed on our previous passages is that things bounce around a lot, and you never really know when that really big wind is going to hit, and then you're suddenly the sea state changes and the boat is rocking. So I go through the cabin and I make sure everything's put away and out of just not laying out so that it can fall out. We have great fiddles on all of our shelves, and that makes it really nice. I tuck away all of anything that might fall into these baskets here. So, and then on the other side I have books, so I secure the books and I'm packing them in really tightly. I'll put a couple more in over here where I still have the books out, so they're a little on the loose end, and if they're loose they'll fall out. There's always that potential. There's a couple drawers that we have, or cabinets that we have, that I just have not. This will always pop open. I don't have a really good way to secure it, but I'm aware of it and I keep an eye on it during passage. We turn we gimbal the stove. Because we've been in La Paz, there's been a lot of wind and it's a lot of current. We've kept it gimbaled the whole time, so it hasn't been a really big deal to gimbal it. I also have our pot holders, or the pot keepers, secured so that we don't have anything fall off. I shut these doors to just because it decreases the creaking that we get when we're on passage, but if I were to leave them open, I have some hooks on the other side that I would hook them open. And then back here I do have in our berth, and I don't know if you can see this, but I put on a big bungee that comes through and secures all of our drawers. Okay, and then I will put up the closet has some locks, and I just want to make sure those locks. This is the last time we did a passage. This one flew open because it wasn't locked, and all the contents of we have little containers inside. The contents of all of our containers spilled out incredibly all over the place. So yeah. Other things we do, for one, is that there's some things that we do in preparation to leave, and one of them is to take down our Starlink, which we've been put up, and so Tyler's taking care of that. He makes sure that that is completely secured in the cabin. If we have a really nice sail and it's calm outside, we can put it back up. It should stay. It's really been, we have a couple lines that we can attach to it to hold it in place, but it hasn't been a problem unless we're really heeled over. It's pretty sturdy. Eventually we'll get it permanently mounted or find a better place to put it other than, just keeping it on deck, sitting on front with its, and we're getting called, so we're going to touch base really quick, and then I will have Tyler talk about what he does to prepare for the passage.
Right. We'll continue this by going through some things that I do in preparation. So one of the things that I do is I do some fluid checks in the engine. I check the fuel levels in the tanks. We have 2 tanks. I check underneath here in the engine bay. I check fluid levels for the antifreeze and the oil. Make sure that we're all ready to go. And I check the bilges. I uncover the bilges and look for any new water that I wasn't aware of before. Any leaks going on, I need to know before we get started. Let's go out on the deck and I'll show you a couple things I do up there. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's continue on deck. There's a few things we do up here. We make sure that we have our harnesses ready and our life jackets are ready to put on when we leave. We've got jack lines, which are lines that run from back here all the way to the bow that we can snap in our harnesses to be safe if we have to go forward to the cockpit when we're out at sea. I make sure that all the sails are ready and all the lines and sheets and halyards are ready for all the sails that we might be using on the trip, and that they're organized. And then I also make sure that the dinghy that we have is brought up tight, strapped in. Make sure that the outboard engine is attached to the boat securely, and then most importantly, make sure all our fishing gear is ready. So maybe sometime during the passage we can do a little fishing. After that, we will get the engine started. We will plot a course on our chart plotter, which we have to uncover, and we will we'll get started. We'll get the anchor up and get moving. And that's about all we do to prep for our passage.
Well, I think we have a fish on. We're going to see it. May have come off, but we rolled in the Genoa, turned on the motor, and we're going to see if we even have a fish on. So maybe what we need to do is have you turn.
Wow, that's really big.
Yeah, can you either take this or get out of autopilot and turn the boat into the wind? Saltwater thing and a thing to put it in, probably.
Alright, we are about 5 hours into our crossing and we have not much wind, so we are motor sailing. If you could even say motor sailing, we're motoring. We have caught a fish. We caught a bonita. I have no idea how much it weighed, but it was a pretty good sized fish. It was kind of fun. The second we got some wind and we put up sails and we were going without our motor, 6 knots with our sails. As soon as that happened, we caught a fish. So we had to reduce sail and turn on the motor and clean up the fish. By then there was the wind because we had to change our direction just to go through the channel to make it to our destination. And now we are coming up on Jacuzzo Island. We are going to head north of that island and down. And most of our sail will be going downwind, down south. So hopefully we'll get a little wind tonight, and a little rolly. there's another window to make our to take our journey. There's a giant school of dolphins. Should be intersecting us. I don't know if you can see it from my phone, but they're jumping everywhere. When I was prepping this morning to make sure everything was tidy, I did everything I can. There are some things that still pop open, and like this cabinet. So we have a few cabinets that pop open randomly, so I just check them periodically while we're sailing. It'll pop open again. And then you can hear all the creaking as the boat shifts back and forth. We happen to be, the seas are really rolly, and they're hitting us, just forward of the beam, so it's rolling us from side to side. Not the most comfortable motion, but we should be in a couple hours turning and making our way south, and once we turn to go south, they'll be coming from behind us for sure. So yeah, still other things. Well, I guess I can secure these drawers. There is a bunch that I could pop on here. They generally don't come all the way out, so I just push them back in again. So yeah. And as you can see, this is what it's like to be, I don't know, underway. If the motor's going, it's really noisy, and if it's not, even so, you still have the motion, and it's interesting that everything that I do and everything we do is just a lot more work, because you have to hold on and hopefully not fall.
All right, good morning. We are about 24 hours or halfway into our journey from Baja, Mexico to the mainland Mexico, from La Paz to Mazatlan. Started off the trip with some wind and mostly motor sailing, and then our engine died again. So we think it's dirty fuel, so we switched fuel tanks, and that seemed to do the trick. We also caught small fish, bonito, and filleted that, put it in the freezer. And so that was exciting. And the sea state started out pretty rough, pretty huge swells, which was even weirder when it got dark. But it's calmed down this morning, and wind on the nose, so we're motor sailing again. And we got some coffee and some daylight to plow through here, so we're going to make our way toward Mazatlan today. We've got another overnight to do, and hopefully we will arrive sometime in the daylight tomorrow.
So what are you doing?
So I'm looking at the wind, and I am setting the autopilot course for a more favorable wind angle, because we're starting to get a little bit of wind coming from the southeast, which means I might be able to motor sail a little more efficiently, or maybe if we get enough wind, even just turn the motor off. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So what I'm finding with this boat is that we need to have more than 10 degrees of apparent wind and at least a 30-degree angle. So if we have less on either of those, then we're just, the sails flog and we just need to motor. So we either need to motor sail to get that speed, or we need the wind to blow hard enough to get that speed.
We are currently motor sailing in hopes that our sails will give us a little lift and help out the motor. They're currently going about 5.8, 5.9 knots. We are have about 7.2 of apparent wind. 7.2 of true wind and 11.2 of apparent wind. And this is coming right from our, just off our nose on the port side. So I cannot see any land anywhere around us. It is so amazing to look around and just see sea, ocean, all around us, and waves. Let's see if I can get it on camera. Sunbathing seals in the middle of the sea. Look at that.
The red color you see here in the water is called red tide. It's a result of a toxic algae bloom that occurs in higher than average concentrations. It produces a neurotoxin that can harm marine life and humans. Sometimes human activities such as farming can make the red tide worse due to nutrient-rich runoff in coastal areas.
Tail this with one hand, turn this with the other after you've unjammed the furler.
What's behind your pillow?
I don't know. It's going to want to come out kind of fast, so you don't need a lot of pressure on it, but you don't want to just let it run out.
What happens if it runs and just overlaps? Will it do anything to the Genoa if I don't do it right?
Well, it goes fly. If you let go of this, it's gonna the wind's gonna take it and it's gonna fly out there. So it's easier just to do it a little at a time so that it stays nice and flat with the wind. Tails are flying if you can get it that far in. Looks like they're flying now. Up there. Let's let that go.
It's night 2 of our passage from La Paz to Mazatlan. Tyler is down and I'm doing watch right now, and it is about 9:15 p.m. It just seems so much later, I think, mostly because we're really tired. So as a part of watch, I just make sure that I'm making sure that we are clear of any traffic. I have our navigation equipment, which earlier glitched out. We lost all AIS, autopilot, navigation, a satellite. I don't know if there was some sort of blip, but it was really weird. It was like we some sort of warp or something, some time space. The boat was just going in circles and I had no navigation. Fortunately, that happened just at the beginning of my watch, and so Tyler wasn't asleep yet, so we were able to reboot the system, and it did come back up, thank goodness, because I was a bit nervous. I was mostly nervous because I knew that there are some large commercial ships that we are heading toward. I saw them on AIS prior to it going down, so I knew that it was I was heading in their direction, and I just really wanted to make sure that I didn't clear them. I mean, I did clear them, and that I wasn't in their path, and not having any AIS, I wouldn't know in the dark. If it's really dark, there's not even a moon out, so I can't really see. Now, with that said, no moon, but we had great bioluminescent tonight. The boat's wake just keeps steering it up, so it's really kind of cool. And it's very peaceful. Not a lot. There's some cloud cover, so there's not a lot of stars that I can see. It's just really kind of taking it all in. It's an opportunity just to think about our journey, and I'm really loving this. I really enjoyed our long journey. Yeah, I think that it's a lot to learn and take in. We're using our motor right now. We're not even motor sailing. We do have our mainsail up, but really there's very light wind. And we knew that going into this passage, that we were hoping to leave originally on Monday, because it was supposed to be a really good consistent wind, but that forecast changed, and the wind coming in tomorrow, which is Monday, is really strong. So it's a lot stronger, and we really don't want to be out here with winds gusting to 40. We've had to sit in a number of anchorages now where it's gusting to 40, and it's a lot. Not looking forward to it. Try to avoid that, so we'd rather put the motor and take advantage. We've been able to sail a few times. We are about 4 hours away from our final destination. We're, well, I don't know if it's final, but final destination for this passage. It is, yeah, it's a beautiful morning. It's lovely. I don't have to wear a coat. That means it's warmer already. We'll be in Mazatlan in about 4 hours. Right now we still are motoring, no wind, but hey, I'll take it. We're hoping to catch another fish for breakfast and just finish our coffee. We're just getting into Mazatlan, and it's a beautiful day. We have shorts on, and I am really excited. We've been on passage for 47 hours, so it'll be a whole 48 hours that we have been on the sailboat and crossing, and yeah, there's that. I had a really great rest. Tyler let me sleep for 5 hours, so that was perfect last night. And then, yeah, I am keeper of the fishing poles and the helm. I can do this. There are a number of fishing boats, none of them in Mexico. None of the fishing boats are on AIS, and I guess that's so that other people don't know where they're going to get their fish. So makes sense, but I do have to keep an eye out for them, and it's so easy to do right now because it's daylight, not night. That makes a big difference. I can't even imagine if they were out there at night. We would not be able to see them. So anyway, we're super excited. It's February 11th, no, February 13th. Yep. So here we are. Well, we see Mazatlan, so we're almost to our destination. We have about an hour before we get to the anchorage, and yeah, you should see it behind us. It's a much, much bigger city, the biggest city that we have been on since we left on our journey, for sure. In any of the port cities, I doubt that Nogales or Hermosillo was any bigger, but it's amazing. I wasn't quite expecting such a large metropolis.
Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to click the thumbs up button and the subscribe button. We also really appreciate your comments and suggestions as we continue to try and improve these videos. Join us for our next video when we explore the beautiful city of Mazatlan and continue our journey south along the Pacific coast of Mexico.